Every ScanNCut has some designs that are comprised of 2 or more pieces. So if I show you an example, this super cute donut is made up of 2 pieces. Some of them are made up of more pieces. And I'm going to show you how these designs are cut. Now I'm using the SDX 2200D. This is the brand new ScanNCut Disney Special Edition. It's only available in the UK from Maker Superstore. It's a fantastic machine. It's the most up-to-date with the most advanced software and hardware. So this is the only machine with onboard Disney patterns, and the one I'm going to use is this super cute modern looking Mickey Mouse design. This is the notebook that I'm planning on putting the Mickey Mouse design onto. Previously I've cut out the ScanNCut DX logo from black self-adhesive vinyl and stuck it onto the front of this notebook, but I thought it would be fun to put a Mickey Mouse design on the bottom. So I've just cut the first layer out of a piece of scrap paper just so I get an idea or a visual representation of how big it would look on my actual notepad. And I've made some notes on how big the finished design needs to be and the colours of self-adhesive vinyl I'm going to use and the order that I'm going to layer the various colours of the design. First thing I'm going to do is call up my design onto the screen. I'm going to go to Pattern, Disney Designs, the first Disney subfolder, and I'm going to scroll down until I find the pattern that I'm going to use. And it's this one here, DS-M131, and it's super cute, as you can see. So I know that I need my design to be 3.5 inches in height, so I'm going to decrease the size and say OK. This screen shows you the various layers that make up the design. So you have your black layer, white, red, etc. This last section here is all the pieces in one file. So you've got 2 choices how you cut this design. You can either cut them separately on different mats, or you can cut them all on one mat. So if I touch this bottom one and say OK, I have an option here to ungroup the pieces. So I'm going to tap that and say set, and now I can tap anywhere on the mat and separate all the pieces. So you could apply different colours of cardstock or vinyl all at once to your mat, scan it in and do it that way, but I'm going to cut the pieces out one at a time just to show you the easiest method to do it. I've attached my first piece of self-adhesive vinyl onto the mat, and I'm starting with black. So I'm going to load the mat into the machine. And select the first piece, which is black, and say OK and say set. So at the moment my cut file is in the top left hand corner and my vinyl is in the middle of the mat. So I'm going to do a background scan so I can place my cut file directly over the vinyl on the mat. And to do this I'm going to just hit the background scan icon, which is this one here. On the screen you can see my black piece of vinyl and my cut file. The mat looks quite dark at the moment, and there is a way to lighten this up to make it easier to see. I'm going to hit the wrench icon And here under background, I'm just going to hit this icon here and say OK, and now my background is much lighter. I can now tap on my Mickey Mouse head to select it and move it over my final. I'm going to say OK, select, cut, but there's one more thing I need to do. With self-adhesive vinyl, you want to cut through just the top layer of vinyl while leaving the backing paper intact. So I'm going to turn half cut on. To do that, I'm going to go into settings, scroll down, half cut on, and say OK. And now I'm just going to press start. So the machine has told us it's finished cutting, and we want to select the next part and select the white part of the design and say OK and set that onto the mat. We're now going to unload the mat and take off our vinyl. So now I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to attach my white piece of vinyl onto the mat and just brayer it down. I'm going to load the mat into the machine. And I'm going to repeat the background scan process by hitting the scan icon. So back at the machine, you can see that because I've got some white vinyl on the mat, it's difficult to see. So all I'm going to do is go back into settings and change the background back to dark and say OK. And now I can see where I need to place the cut over the vinyl. I'm going to say OK, OK, select and cut. So at the machine, I'm going to say select the next part. I'm going to choose the red part of the design, say OK and set it onto the mat. So now I'm going to unload the mat and take off my white piece of vinyl. So I'm going to put my piece of red vinyl onto the mat, load it into the machine, and again I'm going to scan in my vinyl. I'm going to drag my cut file on top of the red piece of vinyl, say OK, select, cut and start. So now we're finished cutting all the parts, so we can just say finish and go back home and say OK. And now we're ready to start layering our design together. So now we're going to weed away the excess vinyl, and I'm using the Brother hook tool. I'm just going to lift one corner of the vinyl and peel it away at an angle. As you can see, the vinyl comes away really easily, and there's the first layer of our design. So let's put our black layer to one side and let's peel away the excess from our white layer. And again, we're going to do the same thing, just get our hook under one corner of the vinyl and start peeling away gently the excess at an angle. going to carry on doing that for the rest of all our pieces. Now with this yellow part, it's only very small, so I'm just going to get a pair of scissors and just trim round it so I can save this piece of vinyl for another project. I'm going to do the same with this black piece of vinyl. And again, cut away in excess vinyl to save for another project on the blue. And weed away the excess. And the last piece is the silver. Now there's one just troubleshooting thing I want to mention. As you can see on this side, the machine has not only cut through the vinyl, but it's also cut through the backing paper. And this isn't down to a fault in the machine. This is where the mat wasn't sticky enough and the vinyl has raised up and the machine has thought the material is thicker than it was. So it's cut a little bit deeper and cut through the backing paper. And the solution to that is just to make sure you have plenty of tack on your mat and your material is firmly stuck to that mat. So I'm going to grab my first colour, which is white, and I'm going to apply my transfer tape over the top and just burnish the vinyl onto the transfer tape with my scraper. And then I'm going to peel the transfer tape away. And as you can see, I've picked up all my vinyl. So now I'm going to carefully line up my transfer tape, trying to ensure that I've got the same distance around the edges. And when I'm happy with the placement, I'm just going to burnish over again with the scraper and peel back the transfer tape. And that's the first layer completed. So now I'm going to move on to the red layer and do exactly the same thing. Burnish the whole thing down and peel back my transfer tape. I'm going to repeat that with the rest of the layers. Now I'm on to the last tiny piece of vinyl, which is the Mickey Mouse head. And the main part of my decal is now complete. So now I'm going to apply a fresh piece of transfer tape over the entire sticker and burnish it down. Now you could either save this for a later date, but I'm going to stick it on the front of my notebook right now. So here is my notebook. Now I'm just going to peel away the paper backing. I'm just going to stand up so I can position my sticker in exactly the right place. And then I'm going to burnish the vinyl down onto the front of my notebook. I'm going to give it a good old rub just to make sure it sticks really well. And then I'm going to peel away the transfer tape to reveal the design. And there we go. I think that looks super cute. And I'm really pleased with how this project has turned out. So I'll post photos of this on my Instagram page and on Facebook. If you've got any questions, please leave me a message. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel to be notified every time I upload a new video. And keep scanning and cutting. And I'll see you in another video.